Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. Today I want to share lots and lots of free crochet patterns for you, ready for autumn winter 2023. I already made one of these for knit patterns, but I wanted to do a crochet version as well because I do find that crochet might actually be the more popular hobby out of the two. I know there's a lot of people who struggle with knitting and who just generally prefer crocheting, so this one's definitely for you. If you have already seen the knit video, then you might recognize some of the patterns that I'm sharing here because I actually tried to find crochet versions of the knit patterns that I shared, just to really give those who can't knit but enjoy the look of it also the option to create similar pieces but in crochet, and also to just like stay true to my style and like aesthetic. I just really wanted to share things that I genuinely really like the look of and that I would make myself as well. So I'll be sharing some clothing patterns, some accessories, and also a few home items with you, which is super exciting. Starting out with the most obvious category is jumpers, and I wanted to find patterns that were somewhat more interesting and that were colourful and playful. I don't think just because it's colder and grey and dull outside we should necessarily dress in the same way, and I also just find using colours and creating lots of fun patterns is so much more interesting and motivating. So the very first pattern I want to share is this granny square cardigan, and of course I had to start with a granny square project because granny squares are just my absolute favourite. I really like the simplicity of this cardigan and the way that they've used these sort of triangle squares to make more of a shaped neckline, and generally I just love the sort of boxy fit that it creates. I am currently working on my own granny square jumper tutorial for you guys. It's taken a little bit longer because for the jumper I think I need to make about 56 granny squares, so I'm still working on it, but I want to get that done fairly soon so you have enough time to make it and then wear it in the colder months. The next jumper I really love, especially because I'm not always a huge fan of crochet jumpers, but as soon as it's a raglan jumper you've won me over. I think what really elevates this as well is the big turtleneck that they've added in this sort of fake knit ribbing. I think it really elevates this from a simple crochet raglan jumper to a jumper that I would genuinely want to wear. Also the fact that they've used really chunky yarn I really like. It makes the jumper really sort of oversized and cozy and thick, and it also means that the project has worked up really quickly. Now in my knit video I shared lots of patterns for funky little stripe design or houndstooth designs, and when I saw this cardigan I just thought this was so brilliant because it doesn't necessarily look like crochet but utilizes different crochet stitches in such a creative way that this creates a kind of tweed look. And I love this pattern because I feel like especially in transitional periods you don't necessarily need to wear a coat yet, but you still need to wear a jacket to keep you warm, and this one would be perfect because it is that sort of in between where you can wear this piece, because to me it feels more like a jacket almost than a cardigan. Then another cardigan I wanted to share is this amazing checkerboard one, and again I just really love the finishes of it on the arm cuffs and the hem, and also this sort of swooped neckline. For me personally I would probably make it a bit shorter so it's cropped, but that's the fun about things like this, you can modify them to fit you. Now this pattern might be a little bit unexpected, however let's talk about the fit first. I love how boxy the fit is, and it looks to be sort of wide around the body, which is really nice. I'm not always the biggest fan of tight fitting knitwear. In terms of construction this is great. Also again the mock neckline and the arm cuffs, and then this colour work is just so nice. The colour scheme overall is so summery and pastel-y, but I can really see this with more muted and darker tones, and then rather than creating a summery sunset you're creating like a nice moody sunset. And I love when colour work like this is brought into projects. It makes the making of it so much more enjoyable, and it also creates such a unique piece. Then again in my knit video I shared this patchwork square cardigan, and I was talking about how these projects are actually perfect for beginners because they teach you so many different stitches in only a small sort of swatch frame, so you're learning lots of new things very quickly, but you don't need to work on them for such a long time that you'll get bored or discouraged, and then by the end of it you can add all the squares together and you'll have this finished piece. It also means that you aren't stuck working on one huge piece at a time, which to me can feel quite discouraging sometimes, so these patchwork projects are perfect. And then I found this cardigan which is essentially to me the perfect equivalent to the knit one, and I really love the sort of fake knit moss stitch squares, and also the striped squares are really cool. So if you like the overall patchwork cardigan look, you will love this pattern because I am obsessed. All the squares look so interesting. I love how different these stitches are. I wouldn't necessarily look at it and be like, oh, that's crochet. I would just appreciate the overall look of it. Also, I currently absolutely love the added stripes on any type of project. I think it really elevates it and makes it a bit more interesting. So this one is definitely one of my favorite patterns. So moving on to dresses. In my autumn's trends video, I spoke about how I love wearing maxi dresses in the colder months, especially knit dresses. There's no reason why you shouldn't be able to do this also with crochet. And the first one I wanted to share with you is this amazing midi dress, which can again be modified to be maxi or mini, just depending on how far down you knit. And it has these lovely sort of wide decreased straps as well, which you can then pair with some very cool like layers underneath as well. Another dress which you might associate with the summertime a bit more, but to me, I think this would be an amazing autumn dress. It's this sort of arrow diagonal pattern, and it has these lovely little cap sleeves. I just think this would be such a cute little mini dress. I'm obsessed with A-line mod style dresses anyways, and this really reminds me of it. Then another dress that could be seen as a bit more of a summery one is this one, and it sort of plays on that mesh style trend that we've already seen this summer. I think these dresses are really great to wear as a tunic in the colder periods as well, especially how in this pattern they've used it in a bit more of a muted tone. I don't see why we shouldn't be making projects that can be worn all year round, simply depending on the way you style them. Even wearing this over like a simple long sleeve mini dress and then just putting this mesh crochet dress on top to really elevate a look. I think it's really cute. It's made in raglan, so it's a really quick and easy project to do. Then we have this diamond shaped mini skirt, and I think this is just such a fun and colourful pattern. Again, this can be modified to be maxi, so you're kept super warm when it's cold outside. As with all the other projects, you can make them fit the colder months by simply changing out the colour scheme. So instead of creating this super colourful piece, you can make a black and white one or like an autumnal burgundy. So then the last piece for our dresses is actually a two-piece, and this is such a cool pattern. It is this sweater vest and mini skirt combo, and I just can't believe how cool it is. It has such a like designer high fashion vibe. Even if you're looking for just a mini skirt pattern or just a good sweater vest, which this seems like a really good simple sweater vest layout, then this would be such a good project. I'm obsessed with two pieces. I find them really hard to come across. Why not make one yourself? I think this is really adorable. Again, we have this checkerboard design, but you can even make it just plain if that's what you prefer. Moving on to accessories, I'm going to very briefly run through some straightforward beanie hat designs. I know there's so many of these patterns out there for free, but I think that's why I find it sometimes very overwhelming when I want to crochet a hat and I just simply don't know which pattern is the best. Should I do ribbing? Should I do a straightforward one? Do I want it to look like knit, or do I want it to look like crochet? It's just really hard. So I found a few basic beanie hats that you can refer to if you are ever stuck for hats patterns. The first one is probably the most basic one. It's just a simple chunky crochet beanie. I personally don't like when there's too much excess fabric at the top of my beanie here. I like my beanie to lay quite flat, so that's what I would personally make this pattern instead, which is pretty much the same as the one before, but instead of simply crocheting a rectangle which you're then going to sew together at the top, you are actually going to crochet some decreases to make the top more fitted and shaped around your head. This pattern would be great if you're looking for this sort of fisherman style beanie design. If you love the look of knitted beanies, specifically ribbed ones, then you will love this crochet project because it essentially looks like it was knit, and you have these sort of lines of almost like knitting all across the project. And then if you're looking for a slight twist on that design, this pattern is great because it has again that sort of fake knit ribbing but in a much smaller sort of layout, which is also very interesting if you're not into very chunky beanies and you instead want to make something a bit more delicate and low-key. And then I also just wanted to share this really cool pattern which I've never really seen a hat like it before, and I love how chunky it is, and you have these lines going across and you have lines going up. I think this is a really fun twist on a very simple project. Now moving on to some more fun and interesting hat designs. This first one I'm obsessed with, and it actually says summer in the title, but to me this gives autumn, winter, cold months vibes. And it's this bucket hat with all these different stitches and designs, which to me are quite interesting, especially in that beige colour. I could totally see me wearing this when it's cold outside. Overall, I think I agree that bucket hats are for the summer and beanies are for the winter, but this beige bucket hat and this next pattern that I'm going to show you, I think can be pulled off in the winter as well. I think because of the shape of it, it's quite fitted sort of around your head, almost like a beanie, and then it just has a bit of a rim. To me, that can also work in the winter. Again, I love anything granny square. This seems like a very simple and straightforward project as well, and I even love it in this really colourful design. Again, I don't see why we shouldn't be wearing colour when it's cold outside. So this hat I am actually obsessed with. It has colour, but it's still very wintry, and it is this stripe design, and I love anything contrast colour, contrast stitch at the moment. I love how the rim is different to the body, and I love how the top of it is sort of a solid colour. It's just such a fun way to integrate colour and patterns into your projects. I wear a lot of simple and toned down outfits when it's cold outside, so having something so colourful and textured would be really great to make an outfit a bit more interesting. Now this pattern I'm definitely going to be making. I can't pull off balaclavas, they're not suited to my head shape at all, and I've been thinking for a very long time actually that I just need to make like a wider balaclava so I can use it as a hood, because I don't think I have a single jacket with an actual hood apart from my raincoat. The amount of times I'm out and about, I'm absolutely freezing because I haven't got any coverage on my head, or I'm wearing my hair up and I can't wear a hat and I just want a hood so I can cover my ears. And this pattern is exactly what I was looking for. I didn't even know I was looking for it. It is this really gorgeous hood that seems to be really roomy and really covers your entire head. It has this little drawstring so you can make it tight around your face as well if it's windy outside. I'm obsessed with it. I'm 100% making it. I'm just waiting to have a bit more time to actually make this, but to me this is an autumn essential. Also in my knit pattern video, I shared a lot of colour work patterns for changing out colours, and also a lot of sort of brioche style knitwear. When I saw this crochet pattern, I actually just had to double check that this is a crochet pattern, because to me this looks identical to knit, and it also has that colour work that to me is really familiar to knitwear. So if you also love that style about knit pieces but you don't knit yourself, then this would be such a cool project to work on. Now moving on to scarves, I found so many good patterns, so let's get straight into it. We have this huge tartan style crochet scarf, and for me personally, if I wear a scarf, I want it to literally drown me. I want to wrap it around and to literally only have my eyes poking out. To me, that is the epitome of being cozy and wintry. This model looks like they're cozy. I mean, this is one of the biggest scarves I've seen in my entire life, so this is such a cool project. This pattern also looks very similar to the other scarf, but it's a different colorway, and I'm sure there's something slightly different about it. It's another great example of how big of a piece you can make for a scarf. Also, the tassels at the bottom are a really nice way to make your piece appear longer without actually having to crochet all those rows. If you're not the biggest fan of huge chunky scarves, then this is another tartan one that is slightly slimmer, and I love how they're using the application of the line to really create this sort of tartan pattern. This scarf design really reminds me of the knit brioche style that I was talking about in my knit pattern video, and this seems like such a fun way again to integrate colour, using contrasting colours like a pink and an orange, or a green and an orange, basically anything with orange really. If you're looking for something even more colourful, this scarf is amazing, and it seems like the perfect project to also use up a lot of scrap yarn. The concept of this is so simple. I don't know why I've never thought about just making a really long rectangle and using up all my scrap yarn and you wear it as a scarf. Like, it is so simple that it's almost impossible to think of yourself. I always love anything with stripes, stripes, can't get over stripes, will never get boring. And this one in particular I absolutely love, especially in that colorway. I don't think I would change the colors. I would literally make this exact scarf as it is in the photos. I love how the red stripes are continuing throughout the whole scarf, but you're just changing out the third color midway through. Also, if you feel like it, you can make the matching hat, so you have a little set, which is great. And then the last scarf I'm going to show you, you can maybe guess, it is a granny square scarf, or is a twist on a granny square scarf. It has all these different squares of different granny stitches. Things like this make your project go really fast and they're really enjoyable, but also they're just so interesting to look at. You have such a big piece by the end of it, which is amazing. Also, I think this is really modifiable in the way that if there's a specific pattern that you love creating or a specific stitch that you love making, you can just make a square of it and add it to this scarf. You don't even have to make this exact pattern. You can basically take inspiration from this and just do it how you would like it. Now moving on to some crochet home items, because there's nothing better than a cozy home when it's cold outside. Very first one is this gorgeous diamond blanket. I'm just obsessed with the look of it. Again, I wouldn't even change the colors. I love how colorful this is, and also adding these stars to me adds enough of a wintry feel that I don't feel like you need to make the colors more tonal. Overall, I think this design is absolutely genius, and I would die to have this blanket at home. Another blanket which is somewhat similar to one of the jumpers I showed you earlier is this landscape design, and again I love integrating color work and graphics into my projects just to make something a bit more unique, and this blanket would be perfect for that. I don't think there would be many people who would have something like this, and I also like that the pattern isn't just using single, double, half double crochets, but it's actually creating more texture in the stitches, so it doesn't necessarily look like crochet. Then I have some pillows here for you because I love pillows. The first one I'm obsessed with. It is also very similar to this pattern, which is a bit more muted. It has these little gaps from the design that you're creating, but overall I can really see this adds more texture and something really cozy and soft to your living room or bedroom. If you want to make a pillowcase but you're looking for something a bit more simple, this one is really great. It's essentially just stripes and you're changing out your yarn every other row, which is amazing and such a simple way to add pattern to your piece. Then I also had to share this really adorable star pillow because there's no motif better than a star for anything autumnal, and this just looks so cozy. And I also like that the star isn't super pointy. I think the overall shape of it is still round enough to be a cozy pillow. Then the last thing I'm going to share with you is this footstool, and it is in a checkerboard design. I've already shared some checkerboard patterns in this video, and I'm aware that for some people checkerboards are so not trendy anymore. They're sick of seeing them, which I completely understand. However, I had to share this footstool because it isn't just checkerboard design, but as part of the pattern you can make the actual chess pieces, so you can play chess on the footstool, and I think that is amazing. You're not just creating a random pointless checkerboard design, you're creating an actual chess piece. Not like I play chess personally, but can you imagine having people over and you just pull out your chess footstool? I really want to make it despite not being able to play chess. I think it would just be such a cool thing to show off at like a cozy games night with some friends. Anyways, I hope you liked some of these patterns that I shared with you, and you're going to maybe make some of them in time for autumn and winter to come around. I feel like this season is finally changing and it's getting a little bit cold outside, so I'm definitely excited to be making some of them. In terms of my favourite patterns, unfortunately I will not be able to make all of these, which is just not fair, I think. But one thing I'm definitely going to make is obviously the hood, not just because I love the pattern so much, but it's a genuine necessity for me to have this. And I'm actually also really keen to make that bucket hat. I'm not a bucket hat person at all. That design in particular I absolutely love, and for some reason it screams autumn to me. I don't know why. But yeah, let me know if you are going to make any of these, or if you have made any of these. I'd love to find out, and I'll hopefully be sharing my own autumnal tutorial for the granny stitch jumper. But before that, I will see you in the next video. Bye!